For this lesson, we are going to do a review of dividing whole numbers. So, when we are doing long division, you should have your resource packet out so that you can have your multiplication chart open and ready to help you. What I like to do, even if I have my multiplication facts memorized, is I like to on the side write out the multiplication facts for the number up through 9. So I'm going to write the first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, and ninth multiple for the number 9. So you can use your multiplication chart here, either going to 9 here and listing out those multiples, or going to 9 on the left side and listing out those multiples. So the first multiple of 9 is 9, then 18, then 27, 36, 45, 54, 63, 72, 81. So I can look on it, again, the chart here, if I find it, 9, 18, 27, 36, 45, 54. That's where I'm getting those numbers from. And now I'm going to set up my problem. So we're dividing by 9. I'm going to write that here on the second row. And then I'm going to draw my division, long division sign here, and enter the number 5,256. So when we are doing long division, you can think of it this way. We can use this to remember. Does McDonald's sell burgers? We are dividing. We are then multiplying, subtracting, bringing down. So first, we're looking at how many times does 9 go into 5? It does not. So I'm going to put a little X here since that was our first number, and we're going to look at how many times does 9 go into 52. So I'm looking to counting my numbers until I get to something that is too big. So 9, 18, 27, 36, 45, 54 is too big. So 45 is what we're looking at. So it goes in 5 times. So I'm putting the 5 up here in our quotient or our answer. That was the dividing part. Now I'm multiplying. 9 times 5, we already have the answer right there, is 45. Or you can be using your multiplication chart. So 9 times 5 is 45. Next step is to subtract. So I am subtracting 52 minus 45. If you can do that in your head by counting 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, that's fine. Or we borrow. The 5 becomes 4. The 2 becomes 12. 12 minus 5 is 7. Last step is to bring down. So I'm bringing down the 5. So now we've got 75. How many times, we're going to the start, does 9 go into 75? So I'm counting again. 9, 18, 27, 36, 45, 54, 63, 72, 81 is too high. So 72 is what works. And it goes in 8 times. So we put our 8 up here. Now we multiply. 9 times 8 is 72. Next step is to subtract. 75 minus 72. Well, 5 minus 2 is 3. 7 minus 7 is 0. Last step, bring down. So I'm bringing down the 6. Now we're looking at how many times does 9 go into 36. So 9, 18, 27, 36, exactly 4 times. So we multiply. 9 times 4 is 36. Next step is to subtract. 36 minus 36, well, 6 minus 6 is 0. 3 minus 3 is 0. We get a remainder of 0, and we have nothing that we need to bring down. So that means this is our answer, 584. Okay, let's try this next one. We are going to set up I'm going to start by plugging in 14 and drawing my long division sign. Again, I do this on the second row so that we have room for the answer up here. Okay, so 5,684. And then I'm going to write out my multiples for 14. So we want our first 9. So I'm going to write out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And I'm going to use my multiplication chart because 14s aren't as easy for me to have memorized. So I'm either finding 14 over here or 14 over here, and I'm going to list out these multiples right here. So I got 14, 28, 42, and so on. So 14, 28, 42, 56, 70, 84, 96, nope, that's not right, 98, 112, 126. So we are going to use those multiples. Let's go ahead and start the division process. So we're looking at 14 goes into 5. Well, it's too big. It doesn't go into it, so I'm putting an X there. Now we're going to look at 56. How many times does 14 go into 56? Well, 14, 28, 42, 56, it goes in exactly 4 times. So we multiply. 14 times 4 is 56. Next step is to subtract. 56 minus 56. Well, 6 minus 6 is 0. 5 minus 5 is 0. Next step is to bring down. So we're going to bring down the 8. So we're looking at how many times does 14 go into 8? Well, the first multiple of 14 is 14, and that's bigger than 8. So it doesn't go in. I'm not going to draw an X because now we have a number, and it wouldn't make sense to have a number like 4x2. That's not a number. That doesn't make sense. So if something doesn't go into something, it goes in 0 times. It's important to include that step, otherwise you're going to make a mistake probably. So we multiply. 14 times 0 is 0. And now I subtract. 8 minus 0 is 8. And last step is to bring down. How many times does 14 go into 84? Well, 14, 28, 42, 56, 70, 84, 98, 112, sorry, I went too high. 42, 56, 70, 84. It goes in exactly 6 times. So I multiply. 14 times 6 is 84. Now I can subtract. 4 minus 4 is 0. 8 minus 8 is 0. So we have our remainder of 0. There's nothing to bring down. So our answer is 406. All right, last problem. 153 divided by 4. So 4s, you might have those multiples memorized a little bit better, but I'm still going to write them on the side because I think it makes it easier. So I'm going to list out my first 9 multiples. So I'm writing out 1 through 9. And then I'm going to get my multiplication chart ready to look at my multiples of 4. 4, 8, 12, 16, and so on. So we've got 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, 32, 36. And let's go ahead and set up our division problem. I'm going to write the 4 because that's what we're dividing by. Set up my long division. 1, 5, 3. And let's go ahead and divide. 4 does not go into 1. 4 is too big, so we're putting an X. Now we look at 15. 4 goes into 15. Well, let's check. 4, 8, 12, 16 is too big, so it goes in with 12. It goes in 3 times. So 4 times 3 is 12. Next step is to subtract. So I'm subtracting. 15 minus 12. 5 minus 2 is 3. 1 minus 1 is 0. And last step is to bring down. All right, now we look again. We start over. How many times does 4 go into 33? Well, let's count. 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, 32, 36 is too big. So 32 is where we're looking. 4 goes into 32 8 times. 4 times 8 is 32. And now we can subtract. 3 minus 2 is 1. 3 minus 3 is 0. So here's the problem. The other two, every time when we would finish the numbers, we would get 0 at the end. And we had nothing else to bring down. Here, we finished using all of our numbers. We don't have anything else to bring down, but we have a remainder. We aren't using remainders. We are going to a decimal. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to add a decimal in the problem and right above it in the answer, okay? Because when I add a 0 after a decimal, it doesn't change its value. So right here I'm adding a 0. Now I have something that I can bring down and use for division. So how many times does 4 go into 10? 4, 8, 12 is too big, so it goes in with 8, which is 2 times. 4 times 2 is 8. Then we're going to subtract. 10 minus 8. If you can do that in your head, great. You can count. 9, 10 goes in twice. Or we borrow. The 1 becomes a 0. The 0 becomes a 10. Wait, we have the same problem again. 10 minus 8 is just 2. I still have a remainder. I have nothing to bring down, so I'm adding a 0. And I'm bringing that down to 20. Now let's count. How many times does 4 go into 20? It goes in 4, 8, 12, 16, 20. It goes in exactly 5 times. 4 times 5 is 20. Then we subtract. 0 minus 0 is 0. 2 minus 2 is 0. We finally got our remainder of 0. So our answer is 38.25. That decimal that we added in is in our answer.